Hey, I'm Sam. I want to talk about this picture. No, I don't have anything better to do. Why do you ask? In the 80s and 90s, Nintendo and adjacent companies were a lot less restrictive on who got to use their licenses and how they were used. Sure, only Nintendo primarily made their main games with their own characters, but anything that wasn't in Nintendo's main wheelhouse they were mostly hands-off with. That's how we got things like the CDI games, loads of educational Mario games for PC, and lots of other questionable Nintendo media. When I think of weird, dated Nintendo media made by an outside party, no one ever brings up Kirby. To be fair, it's kind of a debate on whether or not Kirby is fully a Nintendo franchise, considering all of his games are made by HAL and I think they own him. But this is my video, I can do what I want. Kirby is Nintendo. And much like other Nintendo stuff, Kirby had a series of weird adaptations that sort of died off as we went into the modern era, including the 4-Koma anthologies. To keep things simple, 4-Koma or Young-Koma, but that's the last time I'll try to say that, are simple 4-panel gag comics. Think something like Peanuts or Garfield, which isn't actually exclusively 4 panels, but I just wanted to mention Garfield in my video. Anyways, Nintendo has actually had a lot of licensed 4-Koma stuff over the years, ranging from some old Mario stuff to more recent things like some online promotional comic strips that have even gotten official translations. But I think nothing else fascinates me as much as these. But before I go over them, a small history lesson. Pop quiz. How does a white American kid who was mostly shut in for most of their life and cannot read any Japanese even know about these niche Kirby gag comics? If you guessed the ancient fan site that's somehow still mostly functioning, Kirby's Rainbow Resort.net, you'd be correct! This site was my jam when I was a kid. I have fond memories of browsing through every little section, seeing fan comics, downloading music. When you have restricted internet access and your primary interests were 2 Nintendo franchises, having access to a fan site like this was a godsend. But there's one section I always fondly remember introducing me to some official content I had never even heard of before, and the topic of this video, these silly 4-panel Kirby gag comics. Not a lot of these are translated on the site, which is unfortunate because some of these have stuck with me for 10 years of my life for just being bizarre. I don't really hear anyone else on the English-speaking internet talk about these much, which makes me sad because this is genuinely a pretty large part of Kirby history. With one exception I'll go over at the end, the absolute best documentation of these in the English-speaking world is some partial scans and even more partial translations, and that's honestly pretty depressing. Anyways, I think I've done enough explaining. Let's go over the comics that I remember. Released in 1996, this first volume is based on Kirby Superstar. Before I go over some of the included strips, can I just point out how much I love this cover art? One of my favorite things about obscure manga adaptations like these is the variety of art styles that you can see relatively set in stone characters in, and I feel like that appeal is clear just from this cover. Look how cute it is. But I digress. The first strip I'll go over is a simple gag. Knuckle Joe goes smash, punch, and rising break, and then Kirby asks him what command inputs he needs to do that. To which Knuckle Joe replies, "This isn't a fighting game." I think, in retrospect, this is pretty funny. Completely unintentionally, but still. Anyways, this is cute, but honestly, I've always been confused by it, probably because the translator that translated the scan used "since" in this line for some reason, but moving on. This one is a comic where Bonkers gets all blushy and shy because he has to kiss Kirby to restore his health. I don't know why, but this one kind of gives me homophobia vibes. I feel like Bonkers, the monkey with the hammer from the Kirby games, is supposed to be some sort of creepy gay stereotype in this strip. Am I looking too far into 4 panels intended to make Japanese kids in the 90s laugh? I don't know. This next one is the exact same scenario again, except he actually does the kiss. This panel is kind of funny looking. Unfortunately, he sucks the wrong way and Kirby fucking dies. Don't take that out of context. The next strip I want to present from this anthology I actually tried fully voicing over. Check it out.
In order to further raise the popularity of Kirby, I expect active suggestions from you all.
Mr. Chairman, what if we put a sultry character right about here?
Oh, but to be more specific.
I was thinking Queen Dee.
I'm sorry. This is a real image. This panel is real. This is a real piece of officially licensed Kirby media. This is something Nintendo was okay with. Just wanted to make that clear. Released in 1999, this volume centers around Kirby's Dreamland 3. This one is fully available and scanned on Kirby's Rainbow Resort in Japanese if you want to read or translate it, but otherwise, much like the rest of these, this volume only has a handful of strips translated. I'll go over them anyway, since it includes some of the most unhinged Kirby-related stuff I think I have ever seen. This one is called Feeling Asian. I'm not joking. This is not a mistranslation. Even in the original version, there's just the word Asian in all caps. Anyways, in this one, Kirby eats a Chinese woman and becomes China Kirby. Rick then asks, "What can the ability do?" And Kirby reveals one of his human legs and says, "There is a slit." I know I said this already, but this is a real piece of officially licensed Kirby media. And somehow, this is not the only strip where they give Kirby human legs in this anthology. In this strip, a tick, which is a spiked enemy that attempts to stab Kirby when he's right above him, is right in front of Kirby. After Kirby notices that the tick is turning aggressive, he grows legs. This image is the reason I started making this video. I could not get the image of Kirby with human legs and kneecaps out of my brain. Look at him. Look at him! But this isn't even the worst one. This is Mariel, a spider-like enemy who damages Kirby when he tries to inhale it. In the games, Kirby cannot copy them. Can you see where this is going? In this strip, a Mariel is approaching Kirby and Gooey. Kirby inhales it by mistake, and it becomes a man-made horror beyond my comprehension. They should make this into a real copy ability. That doesn't count. For the third time, this is real. This is official. I think those are all the strips I'll show, but I do have a few other things of note to talk about. For one, did you know that Enix, the creators of Dragon Quest and what would be merged into Square Enix, published some of these Kirby 4-Koma anthologies? Not any of the ones I went over, but they published a lot of them. Also, if you're interested in Japan-exclusive Kirby manga, I'd recommend checking out the Tumblr blog Kirby Manga Translated. They have a ton of translations for all sorts of stuff, including Kirby 64 4-Koma anthologies that are similar to the ones I've shown here. So check that out if you're interested. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to end this video. There's no, greater point to this. I just thought these strips were pretty funny. Is there any strange licensed media for a series that you like that you think people should talk about? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thank you for watching, and double thank you if you subscribe and comment, because every little bit helps. Bye!